right. How's it going?
Doing good. We normally just start off by just talking about random stuff.
Okay. I didn't know if you did an intro or nothing.
We do it in the middle kind of. So we
Yeah.
Oh,
just kind of
okay.
let the we feel like that best little that beginning part where you're kind of just getting to kind of know each other and or
Hmm.
like me and her will just come in and just getting to know how the day went like the day before or
Mhm.
whatever is like
Yeah.
kind of the best parts. You end up in some random things, which is kind of great sometimes.
Do you usually record? It's just you, right? You two for the most
Yeah, it's
part.
just us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
this
you've
is
had a few other people on, right? Like one or two,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
We so last season we had like one person on, and
Hmm.
so we're doing it in seasons. So we're trying to do like 15 episodes a piece so that we can take a break whenever we need to. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it can
Yeah.
be like a lot. So we
Yeah.
got to like the end of season one, and we were just like, my wife was like, "You guys need to take a break because it seems like you're kind of burnt out." So we took
Yeah.
like a month off, and we went and found like guests. We only had, like I said, we
Yeah.
had one guest on last season. We have like six planned for this season, so it'll be six guests and then 9 episodes of just me and Jessa. So
Yeah. It's hard finding the. It's not hard, but it sucks relying on the guests in a way because, you know, sometimes like their setups are like really bad and I have to like they have
yeah,
AirPods and like that's it and I have to it sounds like they're underwater in like a spaceship or something and I had to me and my dude Vince he's like my version of whoever whatever you said Alex or whatever
yeah,
my producer person.
yeah.
I just give him the raw like different tracks in the video footage, and he's always like when it's a bad one, he just like is texting me like you fucking asshole, like this is terrible, like what is this guy recording on a potato?
Oh
Which is
no,
like the funniest
potato.
joke of all time. I love
Yeah,
that joke.
that's like what people used to say in like the online gaming stuff, you know, like oh your mic's a potato or your internet's like your internet modem's a potato.
Yeah, I definitely missed that one. That's freaking
You
hilarious.
missed that joke? You've never heard that before?
I've literally never heard of that. That's really funny. Yeah.
You live
Yeah,
Sorry,
under a
or like
rock.
I was never good at games. My brothers always, all four brothers, video games, video games. Me, I'm
mhm.
like, I'm just gonna go outside and stare at the grass, I guess.
Were you on acid or something when you were a little kid?
Actually, no, acid had not been introduced to me, so
Yeah, that's. I mean, I love video games, but it's only been the past maybe 3 4 months that I stopped playing them so much, and uh, it's actually, I mean, I've actually been getting a lot more done. It's really like a good thing that I can't, because the problem, like with what I was saying a little bit offline, with how I get all into something, I'll buy the best equipment and whatnot.
Yeah.
If I'm not like to play a video game, like I need to be in it. Like I'm like competitive, like playing it like for the season, like every
yeah.
day. I can't just like hop on and play it every once in a while. So I had to kind of cut it off for a little bit because it's getting out of hand.
Yeah. I've never been a video game guy. Like I tried. I wanted to
I
have like all the cool stuff. So me and my brother used to like buy all the video games and never played them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just what didn't really work for me. I well nowadays I can play Switch. Like Switch is pretty because it's like portable and everything. I love it. So
Yeah.
I play Zelda all the time.
Switch is good. Everyone like that's something that, you know, people that are hardcore get all into it because of like Smash Bros and all that
Yep.
stuff. And then there's like the most casual of people that, you give like a 4-year-old the Mario Kart, like
Mm-hmm.
little with the little Joy-Con. It's like very diverse,
Yep. It's
console
great. It brings everybody in. So
for
it's like a
sure.
family gaming system. I guess that's Nintendo's whole thing. I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Antonio's my husband. He literally has an Xbox One sitting in a box that's never been opened. It is in the closet, just chilling.
Yeah.
Xbox One.
I think so. Yeah, I
I,
think
I
it's an
don't know.
Xbox One. I don't
I've
know.
been I was playing games on my PC, so I actually speaking of
Your
that,
PC.
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
that's
good
true
one, right?
gamers.
your
Yeah, so
PC. Look at
so
that.
like I was like all, Mac and whatnot, but I got the PC to game on it as well as like do all my design and editing. The thing about the Mac is like I love that shit and I really like Mac's interface. I really like
Yeah,
the MacBooks, but once I built this PC, like the amount of RAM and like how good my graphics card and everything that I got for how much money it cost me, it was like you know, I think it was like 2,500 or around
Which is
2,000 to
nothing.
build the whole thing. And
Yeah.
it's like it would have cost like, I don't know, like not even exaggerating, like 25 grand as a iMac, you know, with the specs that I have.
It's a lot.
Insane. I
Yeah.
was looking, I got mine from a place in out of LA, actually, LA Mac.
Yeah.
I guess they refurbish like old or from art schools and
Mm,
stuff. Like they have these Macs and they refurbish them. I got
yeah.
this thing for $1,500. I looked
Mm,
up the specs online for a brand new one. It was going to cost me over 5K. And I was
Ooh.
yeah.
like, what?
The
Ooh.
one thing I'll give them though, for Mac, like, cause I used to be like a Mac elitist. I was all like, I used to be like under that, you know, school of thought. Like someone just told me this, and I feel like a lot of young designers just think like, oh, Mac is like the only way. You can't use
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
It's like there's some weird lie where it's like, yeah, the Adobe programs run better on Mac, and it's not true at all.
It's not true at
Yeah,
all.
but I
That's
eventually
yeah.
switched. So
That's a dope, or that's a Max like branding though. Like I feel
mhm.
like they've really like nailed
Geared
it on the
toward-
head for creatives. Like you feel
Mhm.
Yeah,
like
and they
you're
don't
part of
even do
some.
that branding. You see like Dell and all that, like showing the guys like drawing on the tablets. Mac,
Yeah.
they just like show you the Mac and people still get that one, you know.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Do
weird.
you, so like what you said you built your computer, is that something you've always been doing?
Like building
Like
computers.
building, yeah. Has that something you've always
No,
been into?
honestly, like my friend helped me set it up. We there's this place called Micro Center. I don't know if you heard of it. Where are you guys from?
I'm in
St.
Phoenix. Yeah, she's in St.
Phoenix?
Louis.
St. Louis?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a store. I'm in Los Angeles. There's one in Orange County, which
Mhm.
is like just like the more conservative Los Angeles or whatever. And they have this place called Micro Center. There's one in Texas, one over there, and there's like maybe 10 total. And it's basically like, you know, I don't know, like a superstore just for like computer parts. So
Oh,
they have better deals there than like even Amazon and stuff sometimes. So
Wow.
you
wow.
go there and the guy's there and he'll like help you out. He'll try to sell you like some shit with extra lights on it and stuff and overcharge you or whatever. But basically like it's cool doing it there because you know all the stuff's gonna be like compatible. It's not like you're just ordering parts online and hoping
That they're
like it
right.
works. But
Yeah.
it's cool, and my homie helped me with it. I think I can do it now, like after
If you
doing
wanted to. Yeah.
like a trial one, but I don't know.
How much RAM did you actually get into your computer?
Yes, that's what I was very curious
I
about.
really want to know.
I have a 64 gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have cost you an arm and a leg and a Mac. Probably your first child. You
I
have
also
to-
have a like 12 terabytes of hard drive.
What?
Yeah, because I always ran out of space, right? Like I used to have like the shitty kind of starter like MacBook Pro where
Yeah.
it only hold like 256 gigs. It had less than
Yeah.
my iPhone had more than
Yeah.
that, you know? And I would have to back up stuff like every fucking like week, it seemed like, especially once you get into, you know, like bigger like PSB files and things
Mhm.
like that, or like stuff for print. You realize like, oh shit, like it's not just all little logos and vector, like some shit gets big, you know?
Yeah.
I had to because I hated that feeling of having to put stuff like on external drives and
Mhm.
whatnot, but I think it was worth it.
I couldn't even run my old MacBook. It was a MacBook Pro. It literally came out in like 2010, and I milked that sucker until it literally like I couldn't run. I'm a photographer. I couldn't run
Uh-huh.
Photoshop and Lightroom, two of the main things that I use 24/7 together. I had to like
Yeah,
close one out and then open and then
it sounds like it's
I
flying or
opened
something.
like two pictures that were way bigger than what my computer was expecting, she would just die. Like it would just goodbye. I'm
Turned
done.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I literally cried. I was like, I can't run a business like this. I have
mine's like that
You-
too. My old one, you have that. I don't know if you guys use it, but they have like this little app. I forget what it's called, but it shows you like the percentage of like how much of your CPU and
Mhm.
your graphics cards being used like at the
Yeah.
time. And I'll just open my thing and it already says like 80%. It's just like on. There's nothing even open.
You
It's just the
breathe.
background tasks. Like
It's
it
just
can't even
living.
handle anymore.
Living at
Yeah.
80%.
Sir, you left a sticky note on your screen. You must remove.
Yeah.
Living
Oh
at
my-
80% just sounds like your computer has anxiety. Like
hmm Yep, he's just always at high energy.
Oh my goodness.
You ready to go, Jess?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So do you want me to just jump in? I always ask this question, like I haven't done this for two
Every
seasons.
time.
Every time, every single time. I just
Jump
get
in.
anxious. I just get anxious.
Yeah, you could jump, walk, whatever.
However you want to get in there. You can shimmy right in.
Yeah.
Shimmy. Okay. All right. What is up, dropouts? Welcome home. We're a podcast for the creative looking to enrich their life with knowledge. We won't be giving you 3 ways to get rich quick. No. We are for the college avoider, the corporate dropout, the person burning the midnight oil on their next big project. So, like all of us, everybody here.
Everybody.
Yeah.
We are here to talk with you, offer up the processes that work for us in our business, and to be real about the ones that don't. This might be your new fave podcast, but we're extremely biased, so just put that aside. Welcome. My name is Jessa.
And I'm Kameron. And we have a special guest, Jesse Nyberg, today.
Yes. Jesse.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to Wisdom by Design. Thank you for wanting to hop on here with us. You're our third guest ever.
Third guest ever.
So
Wow, that's
a
good.
big deal.
Yeah, it feels I feel kind of like backwards, you know. I've been doing my podcast for like 20 episodes now, so it's weird not having to do the intro. Now I kind of get like sometimes I look at the guest when they're doing it and I'm just like, what are they doing? But now I kind of get it because you're just sitting there waiting like,
yes, you're like, what do I do with my hand?
Are they going to intro me or am I going to have to? We had one
Yeah.
person who tried to jump in on the intro, like the third amigo. And it was like, because we were being so like awkward.
So awkward.
Yeah.
And she was like, let me save you guys. This is really bad. Like, and now we love her. That's our Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, can you do us a huge flavor and tell our listeners who you are and what you do?
Yeah, that's a tough task. So, like I said, I'm usually on the other end of it. So I get the pressure. So I'm a graphic designer from Los Angeles. I am 5'10". No, I'm just kidding. I do that. I have most recently in the past year, like since pretty much like when COVID hit, like we were talking before, is around the time I built my computer, but that's when I also started doing YouTube. And then about 6 months or maybe 3 or 4 months into the YouTube lifespan, I started a podcast. So similar to this, but a little bit different in the sense of I've done one by myself, but I mostly just interview other designers, creatives, photographers, anyone that can kind of fit the speed of like something that I'm going for. And that's been cool. And it's actually, you know, translated into my work in terms of freelance and growing a presence online, because there's one thing I noticed is that a lot of people, it comes down at the end of the day to like weird vanity and like following and all this stuff. And I noticed as I get these guests that, you know, become my friends, that are people that I've always looked up to, once you get connected with them, there's other people that are like, oh, this guy must know what's up if he knows this person, you know?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden these like people who I considered like people I looked up to, all of a sudden we're like peers, you know, even though all I did was talk to them.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird. Cause yeah, I definitely feel that. Like you just start off and you have no like street cred almost. And everybody's like, that guy has no street cred. We don't trust him. We don't like that guy around here. And then you just start talking to other people. Like I've connected with Chutzpah, and I've sat down and kind of talked to them a couple of times. And just being able to talk to someone who's kind of in the industry just changes everything. Like it's so weird. And you're right. It's vain and it's, I don't know. It's almost like you have to be proven by somebody else to get into the club. And
Chutzpah, those girls, they're pretty cool.
They're amazing.
They got like a lot of good stuff coming out of their studio, especially with like all their type work and everything.
They're amazing. So they they're
over here. They're over there in where I was talking in Orange County.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, somewhere over there near the beach, I think.
But
I mean, I think you know, like you're saying, like you know, you look up to some of these people, or like these people that are like really big in the design world, like Chutzpah sisters. Like, you know, you have some of the kind of household names that are a little bit older, not necessarily like they're old, but you have them, you have like Draplin, John Contino, like Paul Rand, like is super OG, you know, and you have like Michael Beirut, like all these people that are kind of like the almost like Mount Rushmore-ish type stuff of design. But then you have all these other people, like the type of people that I've been gravitating more in my interviews and stuff, that are like what I would equate is like that, but to like the maybe Gen Z or like online version of those people. Like
that's cool.
I was surprised when I heard some of my followers and stuff. They didn't even know who Aaron Draplin was, but they knew like they knew this other dude that's like this cool designer that I had on that has like 30,000 followers, just because like he's well respected in like the 20 to 30-year-old like kind of range, you know. And it's interesting to see because like especially a lot of self-taught designers, that they're like some of the best these days, you know, like online they're killing it. And why would they really know about all these like formal like design rules and like people that are really like you kind of just get told, like taught these people by your professors, because they all like are obsessed with them just as much, you know.
That's crazy. Yeah, you kind of have a different perspective from me and Jess, because we aren't formally trained like in this at all. We kind of I was doing it on the side, eventually got laid off, and then decided to go full time. So can you kind of explain how the college experience is? Like, what is design school even like?
It's hard to say, because I think everyone has a little bit of different opinions on it, because I wouldn't even call what I did design school. I went to a university like California State University, Chico. So it's just a Cal State University, and I have a bachelor's in communication design, but it's not, you know, it's not like a RISD or like a really like, it's not an art school. It's not private, you know. I feel like that's a whole different echelon and whatnot, but those people are born like knowing about like type and shit that go there. But this is kind of like, I equated it to like when you're good at that at these schools, you're like a big fish in a small pond, you know. Like I felt like me and a couple of my buddies were some of the most proficient like in some of the classes, but then I would look online and be like, I don't know, like I've seen these freshmen at this like San Francisco art school and they're doing way better shit than this.
Right.
So, I mean, I think I liked it, and I learned a lot fundamentally. And some of my professors, like they went to school for design and like Yale and stuff, and they were really smart.
Wow.
But they were very old in a way. Like they didn't know a lot about UI design or like even like a lot of digital design in general. So like I think that's why I gravitate towards a lot more like print and traditional like style graphics, because we weren't really getting taught like some of the more, you know, like post Y2K stuff in a sense. Like some of like my professor, Frank, he was so old that he was always telling us like when I was in like a designer, we just had like an X-Acto knife and like we would just put type on like a letterpress and shit. And he was doing shit like cool stuff like at the time, like cutting out shapes and all this cool stuff. But he was like OG. Like he was like, if you got to only use like Frutiger and like Bodoni and Helvetica and like that's it, you know, some shit like that. So I liked it. I guess that's a long way of answering. Like I learned a lot and I liked it, but I learned a lot more not there.
Which is kind of what we've been trying to. That's kind of what we're about a little bit. Just how much you can learn in the world nowadays without having to formally do anything. Like you can create your own value like crazy today.
Yeah. And I found that it just helps with like full-time jobs. You know, if you want a full-time design job, you better be really good and come without a degree on your resume, you know, because it's not like a requirement, but it doesn't help if you're like okay and then you also don't have that. You can be a designer and be okay and get a job as long as you have a degree, but the vice versa like isn't really the case, you know. You better be like pretty, you know, stellar to be coming out here like just self-taught. But then most self-taught people, they're not really going for that kind of thing, you know. They're freelancing, they're starting their own studios,
right?
And basically it's like I think it's worth it to go for like, if as long as you have, either financial aid or the money for it. But I wouldn't ever tell anyone to like that you can't do like what you guys are doing or what I'm doing
Yeah.
without a degree. It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's so cool. Yeah. So awesome that it's like it's possible. But yeah, and that's what's so weird nowadays is like the degree is just kind of that it mints you. Like if you don't have the
Mhm.
degree, then they're like for full-time work, it's like, well, you don't fit in this system the way it works nowadays. So we can't work with you. And it's weird that we've created like something that takes so much money to get past. It's like a barrier that is like to a bridge troll. It's like,
Right,
well,
right.
pay me $100,000 and I'll let you buy. And
Yeah.
then here's this piece of paper that has a nice little shiny stamp on it, and
Yeah.
let you go.
And then you had to pay for that.
Yeah.
They made me pay
You have
for
to
the
pay
fucking
express.
diploma.
Yep. Oh my goodness. You got to pay for the shipping to get it to
Yeah.
your
And you had to pay for we had to pay for the what do you call them, the gowns, but then
Yes.
we had to give them back, so it's
Yeah.
like we just had to
Yeah.
pay
Rented
to
them?
like they gave us the privilege of wearing them, I guess.
Do you know who's
And
graced these gowns?
when I graduated it was raining and they only called half the names, then they stopped because it was raining so hard. So I was like, yeah, this is fucking how it should be. This is exactly the way to wrap up like what this experience is. It's like it's just a mess. Like it's a glorious mess, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. So you went from college right into a full-time job? Or how did that transition work? And where
Yeah,
did you end up working at?
I got an internship first.
Okay.
So I graduated. When I went to school, where I went to school was in Chico, right? Like I
Mhm.
said, and there was a town right there called Paradise. It caught on fire. I don't know
Oh,
if you heard of that. Like the
No.
whole city burned down. So they almost like we all evacuated and they almost like shut down our school for
wow.
this is before COVID. Like we were doing it before it was cool to shut shit down, and then we were like, what are we gonna do? Like some people were like, hell yeah, like no more school, but other people were like, they basically said, if you don't, you have to finish still somewhere, so we were freaking out about that. I ended up leaving for like a extended Thanksgiving break, and then they were like, oh, you're good, come back. But it was like just kind of weird after that because that whole town moved into this town that we're at because it's the next one over. Because
Oh, okay.
it literally burnt down the entire. It was the biggest fire in the United States
I
history or
remember
California
that
history.
now. I remember that
There's
now.
like a documentary about it and all that, and it's really sad. But
Wow.
the
Yeah.
point is, I finished that there. Actually, that had really nothing to do with this. I don't know why I thought of it.
We're
But
enjoying it. Keep going.
yeah, I finished that. I come back down to SoCal because that's where I'm originally from. So I'm from like a little bit outside LA in a
Okay.
town called Covina, 30 minutes. And I'm here and I've always wanted to, work in like a studio or
Mhm.
an agency. Like that's kind of, I think for most people, the kind of like most sought after thing. Like
Mhm.
they're like, oh, I want to be in like a cool studio with like art directors and like open floor plan and everything. And I realized like it's fucking hard, it's hard to get into those things, even though, and like I had a lot of work. Like there was kids in my degree that all they did was the schoolwork, they didn't do the extra stuff. Like I had freelance, I had self-initiated, and every interview I went to, that's what they cared about. Everyone had the schoolwork. They don't give a
Yep.
fuck about that really. They don't care about you redesigning Google or whatever, like it's just fake stuff. And I mean, I can't even imagine what some of them were struggling with because I was struggling and I thought like I was going to be good. Like I had a confidence because I was like doing well in the class, right?
Mhm.
So the only place I can get an internship was at this architecture firm. So I thought it would be like cool because it's design, and it was cool, but they're all architects and what they're doing was like amazing. So it was kind of just like, yeah, just do your like little graphics or whatever, like
That guy
my
over there.
design felt so like subdued compared to this is like a nice place. They were building like crazy like structures out of like storage bins and like cool like flexible housing and like crazy like retail and stuff, and I was just doing like the stationery and shit for like the presentations or whatever, so it was a little it kind of gave me a bad taste and for
Mhm.
like working somewhere where graphic design isn't the forefront, because it
Yeah.
all, and I had other internships and stuff in the past, and like it sucks when you don't have anyone to champion for you like good design. Like no one's on your side. They're just like, you would think the architects would have like not want to put like 5 different fonts on like a flyer, you know, and like create, but their design, like I don't know, it doesn't translate to like
Yeah.
other stuff.
Yeah.
And then I did that and I quit because I had like an hour commute, so that wasn't cool either.
Oh my
Or
goodness.
hour and a half.
Were they paying you?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was
Okay.
$15 an hour, which is California. I don't know in other places if that sounds good, but it's like minimum wage where
Yeah.
this was in Long Beach.
That's what our minimum wage should be, and it's like 8. So
Yeah.
In Missouri, it's terrible.
Missouri is terrible.
Yeah, so it was minimum wage, like, so it would have been 8 over there, you know.
Yeah.
And then I quit that and I moved to LA, and I got a job, or I got the job, then I moved at this entertainment agency, which was like, we did key art, so
Mm.
movie posters and stuff for Netflix. And I worked with big clients like Netflix, Warner Brothers, all this kind of stuff. I was they call me a junior art director. It was like, it's like such a glorified name. I was just like the lowest designer there was, right? That's what it was. And because in their eyes, the art directors were the guys that were like 2 years like in, you know, they were just designers. And that was cool, but it was hard. Like I didn't get a lot of credit because I would just be like the final guy is the finisher. He has the concepts. I was mostly like masking out, you know, stuff and like adding in like maybe like doing some type lockups for ideas for pitches. But we would stay there sometimes till like midnight because you're working with like Warner Brothers and Amazon Prime and stuff, or Amazon Video, and they're just like, do it, you know, like it needs to be done today. And they have like some of the budgets were, not even exaggerating, like hundreds of $1 million just for the art. It's insane.
What?
And I was getting like $17 an hour. So
Right. Like,
that didn't feel good, you know. There was the hierarchy was ridiculous. It was like
wow.
$17 an hour. The next guy up got like 25, and then the art directors got like $300,000 a year or something, you know. And it was like, and they'd always come in with like that attitude, like kind of, that's just the grind, boy. You got to work here for 10 years, you know.
No.
And I'm just like, this is not cool. I didn't even want to be that person out there. I didn't care about movie posters. It was like everything was just pretty much composites of different actors doing it. Everyone wants their movie to look like how the Avengers do it now, you know, just different layouts like that. So I was there and I felt good. Like everyone thought it was cool when I talked about it. That was like the coolest part, is telling people what I worked with, like on, you know, big movies for HBO and stuff. It was hard and I wasn't feeling it. So I left that, and then I've had I left. Is this too long? I don't know if I'm.
No, I'm enthralled.
Like,
yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because it's like my resume, basically.
Yeah, do it.
Well,
we're trying to we want to show people what it looks like to be like a designer, what it looks like to to go and be a full-time.
I should clarify too, these are short spans. Like I graduated in 2019. So like the architecture office was only 3 months I worked there, right? And I was like, fuck this. They offered me a job after the internship. I said no. They were like, we'll give you 17. I was like, no. So I left. That's the one thing, if you want to take anything from this, anyone younger, is you look at those salary charts and shit, and they're like lying. I think it's inflated. They'll say you should at least get 50,000 a year at your first job, and it's like, which one? You know, I didn't see any of those. So I was making less than the people I knew that worked like at the airport, like some of my friends from high school. So it sucked because a lot
at the airport.
Yeah.
They make a lot.
It sucks because you do that whole like 4 years thing, and then they're like, now you start from the beginning again. You know, it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then I quit that other job. I mean, I guess don't quit things easily, but I always felt like I had a justified reason. The reason I quit a lot of these positions, I was respectable and I gave people the notice, but it was not because it was too hard. It was because I felt that the trajectory was wrong. I feel like what I was working to wasn't the what I would have got out of that wasn't what I wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I left in February, and that was when COVID was March. So all my colleagues that were the other junior art directors, there's 6 of them. They all got fired anyway. So I had like that third eye, to see into the future.
But you probably, seriously, you listened to your gut. You knew you weren't
Yeah,
happy. Like
Yeah.
you wanted to dip
it's
out.
crazy. And
yeah.
then what was it? I got a job in like the next month or two. I think I started it in April or March, late March, but I wouldn't have even gotten to apply to that position if I got fired like everyone else. Because I got hired in that short span between me leaving and COVID, everyone leaving.
That's
And
crazy.
I just got it from meeting I was in a Slack group chat called LA Design and Development. Big group chat, bunch of like mostly UI designers and like kind of tech bros and shit. And you know how you apply to a job and they say, we'll keep you in mind or whatever.
Yes.
And you're just like, damn it. And this guy actually did that for me, I
Yeah.
applied to this agency and he said, we'll keep you in mind. And then I see him chatting in that other thing. And all of a sudden he hits me on the Slack, like, yeah, I've been seeing you in here. Something that I didn't think I was going to get anything out of this. I was just asking people questions, looking at the events and whatnot. He goes, yo, I'm referring you to this like job. They need a designer. And I was like, who is this guy at first? and I looked, I was like, oh, it's Levi. So he's the art director at this really cool agency out here called Use All 5.
Oh, wow.
He designed the brand that I work at now.
Okay.
Wow.
It's called Art of Sport. It's like a
Gotcha.
body care brand for athletes. They have like it's co-founded by Kobe. It's like
Oh, wow.
It's like kind of like natural products for athletes, right? That's like the basic mission statement. So I started working there as a brand designer, which is the description was like 5 years experience, but that just shows you how it's so easy. Those unfair advantages. I've never had one, but I got one there.
Yeah.
And it pretty much put me, they didn't even interview anyone. They're just like, all right, I guess this guy. And they just brought me in to interview and they were like, yeah, like we don't really want to look at anyone else. And like, we like you. So you can work here. And now I'm like playing an art director role and all this. Like it's intense. And I'm actually moving towards freelancing now.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked there for over a year, which is embarrassingly enough my longest job in terms of design. I worked at like Del Taco and stuff like that. But
Del Taco's
now I'm going now I'm going to freelance and I'm going to work with them a little bit still and other clients, but that taught me a lot because that job I did not just design. I didn't have anyone to learn design from because I was like the designer, but I learned about printing, working with like we're in Target, all this shit, like learning how to work with retailers, like designing for in-store. I designed a billboard that was all in LA, which was cool because my friends were sending me it, on like Snapchat and stuff. And it's like, it's not to me, it's like, yeah, that was just a project, but people are like, yo, you probably got rich off that. And I'm like, no, dude, it's just part of my like salary,
Right.
So I'm giving that cool stuff up because it's also a lot of work. And I, as you see, I have the podcast and I'm always trying to take projects on the side and stuff and a YouTube channel. And I work with this director and do like this film design stuff with him. And it's just too much, man. Like you talk about the midnight oil or whatever earlier. It's like my oil is running out, I was working every day from the job it was remote, which was cool, but I'd work from 9 to 6, 7, mostly 5 or 6. And then I'd work till like midnight on other shit, podcast, YouTube, just the grind of trying to keep up with staying relevant online and just posting like designs on Instagram. Like you just have to
I struggle so much with it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at now. It's like I'm pretty much next week is my first like self-employed week or whatever. So that's cool.
Awesome.
So
congratulations.
Congrats. What led you to freelance? Like why are you officially making that jump? Like,
Yeah. I think for the most part, just like what I said is I felt that this stuff's important to me, what I'm doing, and the normal job is taking too much away from that. And I feel like it's not fair to them I'm like always distracted like the past month, like working on stuff and I'm like, it's remote, it's harder to focus, but I'm still getting all my stuff done. But I find myself having like two shit open, like trying to do stuff. And I just want to try it, like I think I have enough money to where like if I fail, it's like I can just like get another job in like a year, I have enough in terms of that because this job paid me pretty well. So I saved like hella money. And I just think that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing justice if I didn't put like the full effort.
I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's almost like you see your value, like you know what you're worth, and it's like if I don't go for what I'm worth, what was this all for?
Exactly. And I got a couple like clients lined up that are actually, not just like one-offs. They're like things I'm going to be doing like often, maybe 1 or 2 projects a month. Nice. So those will just keep like, I won't be doing well, but they will pay for everything I need, like the rent and everything. And then any other income I start to generate will be, closer to like what I was making or like more, whatever.
Right.
So it's scary, but it's like also like when I put my 2 weeks in, I just felt like I felt lighter, I was just like, because I know I have the discipline to get up and actually work on every day as if it was my job. So I'm excited for that to see how it goes and just keep growing the YouTube and keep growing the design stuff. And the YouTube, man, like I know you guys putting yours on video as well, right? On YouTube. Yep. So YouTube and then audio podcasts, like it's pretty powerful. Like I've met a lot of people that way, and I've actually got projects from, like working with these people, and then I meet them, and then you never know, like the connection later down the line, they throw me some work or vice versa. Right. We work together.
Sure. Yeah. And it's just the power of knowing people is really like, they always, I remember growing up and everybody was like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I was always like, that's stupid.
That is
but then it's true. Like it really is how the world moves.
It's like if you were trying to be like super honest with it, it's like obviously you have to know stuff, but the more people you know, the less you have to know of the what.
Right.
Pretty much, because you got more connections. And if you don't have any of the who, your what better be fucking up there. You better be the person that everyone wants to know.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's true.
That's a great way to put that.
Have you we always like talk about like reaching out to people, like how we reached out to you because we were like, oh, we love his work, we want to interview him, like that's really cool. Have you gotten some of your projects from reaching out, or like I don't know if that's a good question, but have you reached out and been denied before? And like,
oh yeah, I've reached out to people, but more for I mostly reach out to like other designers and things.
Okay.
Like, I don't as much reach out to like prospective clients. Like I don't do a good job of like identifying like this company has a problem and I try to come in and solve it, because I've tried some of that before, and it's like if they're not contacting you, like they feel weird about you being like, I'm ready to design for you, and it's like they could just be like, for what,
like who's this guy, where did he come from?
Like, we don't need anything.
I guess like, have you reached out to like, okay, we've reached out to you obviously have like I don't know, I feel like your YouTube, your Instagram, like everything kind of started exploding, right? So you're definitely like up here.
I don't know why.
You don't know why. Whatever.
You're super consistent.
You're talented. Like,
thank you. I just meant like, not to be cocky, but like I don't think I'm that much better than last year, and it took me forever to get to like 1,000, and then 1,000 went to like 3,500, like in like 1/3 of the time that the first. It's all like exponential or whatever.
Do you think it's from the people that you're bringing into your podcast, like bringing into your environment?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Like I had a crazy. Well, one thing that was that helped a lot was like reels. That shit's fucking crazy.
I hate it.
Like,
Really?
yeah, the one I made that has like almost 100,000 plays, and all it is like my favorite fonts of April.
Yeah.
I,
I hate it.
and all the other ones I put work into, they're like time lapses, and they're like me like trying to be all vulnerable and like talking. And this one's like a shitty like kind of Tumblr, like weird little moving backgrounds, and just being like, you know, like blaze face and like
Yeah.
Degular or whatever fonts I was throwing. And it's like, someone made a point to me though. I talked to a lot of these guys that run those like reshare accounts and stuff, like you know, like Fruits Art Club and like Graphic Lounge, like those type of people.
Yeah.
He was saying the reason those do so well is like they're so digestible. Like people that aren't designers like fonts that are just running their little Tumblrs or their blogs, like they want to know about that too. They think they got like secrets learning about fonts from a designer, versus like, you know, a designer only cares about like your deep, like weird little, like how to use the Pathfinder tool. Like some random person that wants a cool font for their website doesn't really care about how Illustrator works or whatever.
Right.
That's actually a really good point. I was thinking about,
Yeah.
this is really stupid. Not stupid, but I was thinking about, I was like, they do all these, I've seen people do like chalk wipes and like just weird stuff like that. And I'm like, what is the designer version of that? Like,
Yeah,
I know you said the font, but like, what is the ASMR version of like all the other stuff that people are into? Like,
dude, what? Yeah, we had, so one of our first guests for this season, her name's Leela Mae Thompson, and she's this insane artist out of Virginia. And she said that like all of the TikToks and the reels that she made, where she's sitting down and actually like explaining why she was putting these things into her work, and like what this meant and what this meant, like they flopped. But then she would take a freaking recording of her wiping the chalk off of her paintings, and it would have thousands and thousands of views without her talking. No talking, nothing. She's like, I don't.
That's the same with like just Instagram posting, right? You do something like in 5 minutes, and all of a sudden it has like 40 shares and like all these saves and stuff. And then you like try to create this crazy like design that's like you're all talking about the methodology and stuff in the caption, and it just flops. And it's like, I think at the end of the day, people don't want to think. So like when it comes to design and Instagram, like what's a good design doesn't necessarily mean it's the best design for Instagram, right? Because when you have to almost think about Instagram as like a client, right? And their needs are, we want stuff to be like digestible. We want like anyone to be able to like it. And we also want, you want stuff that people can see and be like, I want to share this because like I agree with the statement. You know, like I see you, Kameron, like you do like some super cool minimal like logos and stuff, but that's like very like design heavy, like nerdy, right? Because I do branding myself and I love that, but some of my probably worst performing posts are logo design posts, because like they're just like they're plain, you know. It's kind of hard to, you got to put them in like a mock-up at least to get them to like shine, or maybe like a GIF.
And the funniest thing is like we've been kind of keeping track of our analytics, and I will post on Twitter and then take a screenshot and post it on Instagram, and those are my best performing posts. And I'm just like
of what you wrote, basically.
Of what I wrote on Twitter, and I'll just put it on Instagram, and they'll get hundreds of likes or 70 likes and a bunch of impressions, and I'm like, why? So I'm trying to adjust the way that I'm thinking about it, but the advice you just gave is probably really spot on. Thinking about it differently, like it's a client. Because it's like, what does this client want to behave the way that you want them to behave? So,
and do you know a guy Nicogs? He's like Nicogs Collection on Instagram. That's like his page where he shares like design stuff and like reshares posts. I had him on my podcast. He's from Belgium. His name's like I just call him Nicogs. That's like, he has different pages, Nicogs World, Nicogs whatever. He kind of does a lot of those carousel, like Chris Do style, like stuff, but it's like a lot less like that shit's kind of like annoying in a way.
It's lame to me, bro. It's so lame.
Like with the really big condensed type, and it's like
so lame.
how to get clients or whatever. He does that, but it's actually shit that like I'm like, oh damn. Like he talks about like the algorithm and like weird things that are, he's been talking about like NFTs and all this other stuff. And he does it in a way that's like digestible and like kind of funny. And at the end he has like a thing, it's like share if you agree, and it's like a picture of Cher. And I always thought that's like funny. So like he's really smart. Like I've talked to him about a lot of this stuff. He has like 80,000 followers or something, and
Jeez.
he just like is a good designer, but he's just a masterful like marketer.
That's dope.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to check him out for sure.
Yeah,
But
he's
yeah,
cool.
I've been feeling that a lot lately. Is just like just dealing in the algorithms and how people are trying to approach it. I just feel like the stuff they're putting out is just so lame, and everybody's doing the same thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like you're basically yelling at people trying to find clients on Instagram, and I've just decided the clients aren't there. They're just not on
Yeah.
Instagram. Like, so go take that basically somewhere else. And people like Chris Doe, their clients aren't like actual like clients like we're looking for as freelancers. His clients are designers, so that's why he can
Right.
do what he does and kind of get away with it.
It's a
So
good point. And it's easy for
Mm.
someone like Chris Doe to be like, don't charge anything less than 50 grand for a logo
yes,
or whatever, when like you're already there,
yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Try
got
to
to
tell
figure it out.
that to like a designer that is like 20 years old. They don't even know how to like do their taxes. They're not going to be trying to charge like six figures for a, poster or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
Like some of that stuff feels very out of touch,
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think.
like I'm a I always champion for like I like to try to raise my rates when I can, and I always
Mhm.
am fair to myself, and I've gotten better at turning down stuff that's like waste of time or not enough money.
Mhm.
But some stuff I see, I'm just who are you, can't get these clients without it being like a Fortune 500 company.
Yes.
No
Right.
individual that's starting a business is going to be able to pay you
Nope.
over like $20,000 for a branding, right? Because they don't have like where are they supposed to get that money from?
Hmm.
That's the way I look at
Right.
it. And it's like I want to work with people, but that's why like I try to, either if it's a small client, I try to only work on small projects with them. And if it's a
Mm.
bigger client, bigger project, because I know like some of my friends, I'll do stuff for them like album art, posters, or whatever. And it's like, of course they can't pay more than like a couple $100 because
Right.
they don't make any money off this stuff
Yeah.
yet. So it's
Right.
like they're saving just to be like, can you make this for me, please? So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I will. But if it's a big company and they're doing that, it's like, fuck you. Like, I know you
Yeah.
have like a marketing budget and a PR budget and whatever.
Do
Yep.
you, I'm glad that you brought that up because, like, so, I've had a really bad problem of being taken advantage of in the past of, friends saying, oh, I only have $50 to make this logo. Can you do
I know
this?
it
Like, type of
sucks.
thing. Like, do you have boundaries that you set? Like, because obviously you want to help your friends out, but like,
Hmm.
are there certain types of things where you're like, absolutely not? Or how do you gauge that?
Yeah, it's hard because people can easily take it like personally, right? And
Hmm.
Hmm.
they'll say like, "Well, like people get mean if you like don't want
Yeah.
to work for them, right?" I'll have someone, not as much a friend. Let me answer the friend part first, but
Okay.
like some of my friends, it depends. Like, let's say my friend, he needs a logo, right?
Right.
And it's something that I kind of quote out and see, because most people, yeah, you want to sell them like brand identity, but they don't even like know what they're gonna do with it. So at the end of the
Yes.
day, they need a logo. Like they need the vector logo, and
Right.
it's like it's hard to really pitch like, here's your mission statement, here's your color palette, here's your fonts, here's, because they're
Mhm.
using it on their Instagram profile picture. So it's different from like a brand. So let's say they're like, I have a logo, and I say something, let's say it's something I would charge, you know 500,000, whatever it may be. If they can only have like a couple $100, what I'll say is like, in my contract, I will do it for the most part if I like the person,
Mhm.
but I won't give them like really any revisions, because
That's
that's
yeah.
where I'll get the
Yeah.
resentment and like be like,
Yeah.
why the fuck did I take on this $100 branding project for my friend that I thought was going to be
Yeah.
cool, and all of a sudden they know about kerning, they're telling me stuff. So it's like, at the end of the day, like I think it just comes down to like there's no real formula. You just have to feel out the person. And
Yeah.
sometimes, this is more strangers, but they hit you up. I don't want to put this guy on blast, but this happened today. I don't know him, and he will definitely not watch this. He doesn't even know who I am. He hit me up saying it was one of those, oh, this guy told me you're a designer. Can you help me? And those are the worst because they don't know they don't know the proper, I guess, like steps of like what we're gonna be doing. They're just like, so I'll pay you at the end, and like I have like you got Cash App, and I'm just like, so he tells me he wants he first he asked me what font is this, and I just tell him, and he's all, can you make me a logo in that font that says being broke is the let me see what it said, because it's worth it to look. So I tell him it's called Chi, you know, that font, it's kind of bubbly, Chi. Like, and he's all, what the fuck's Chi? And I say, it's the font, bro, isn't that what you asked me? And he was like, oh, my B. And then he's like, all right, I want a thing that says being broke is the only thing I failed at, right? So he wants that on a sweatshirt. And I'm just like, okay. And then he doesn't have enough money to pay for the thing, you know? So it's like, I tell him like, I'll hook you up since it's just going to be like a logo type, and I'm going to like get you all the print files and current it. I was like, I'll do it for like a couple $100 just because I know you're going to make money off selling these, even though it's easy. And he's all, bro, it's just a font, write it out. And he's like, that's too pricey. And I'm just like, bro, I thought being broke, like, I thought you didn't fail at that or whatever. It's just like, I said that to like some of my design friends, and they're like, that's so ironic. It's just like, it's like some shit you'd find on Tumblr, you know?
That's the clientsfromhell.net.
Yes.
My favorite. Have you ever, like, I used to sit, so I did take graphic design, like a graphic design course. It was a 2-year course in high school, and it was free as long as you did like the whole thing. And I would literally sit there, because all we really did, they would give us these big, thick ass notebooks, and they would say, flip to project 72B. And like you get there and it says, okay, now stitch this photo together. And you're like, oh, okay, I am a graphic designer. I stitch photo together.
It's like a workbook.
Right. So I literally would sit there and just read clientsfomhell.net.
Yeah.
Because I would finish the project in like 5 seconds. I'm like, why am I doing this? This is amazing.
There's always like, I had a class in high school. I guess it's not really the same experience. It's like a little bit opposite. I was lucky enough that we had like a graphic design it was called visual communication in high school. And it was one of those like take it like electives, like that and photography. Like if you are like dumb and don't want to do like the actual like hard stuff, right? So I take it, everyone doesn't care. Everyone gets like pretty much at least a C for just like turning on the Mac, right?
Yeah.
And I get into it, like we had to learn how to use the pen tool by like tracing the Batman logo. And like,
that's cool.
I would just go in there and like, cause it has like a lot of those like Bezier curves or whatever. Yeah. And they're like kind of hard to make, cause it's like, unless you're doing it and then duplicating it to get it symmetrical is really hard. And he would tell you like, make sure you don't like flip it and just stitch them together. Like I want you to trace it all the way, right? Because they have a thing online too, like pen tool game or Bezier game. You kind of follow paths like that. But everyone hated that, right? And I was like, oh shit, like this is fun, you know, I like this.
I love that stuff. That's so fun.
And that's when I got into design pretty much. And then that's what made me like want to go to school for it, is literally taking that class and like learning how to screen print and tracing Batman logos. That's like my origin.
That's awesome. We had like a lot of really cool, like my teacher was really cool, don't get me wrong, like she did like graphic design in Australia for a couple of years. Like it was crazy. Like cool. She's a dual citizen. But it was like, I don't know, it just felt like a lot of, obviously you have to have busy work to learn the tools and things like that. But I was just like a bored teen.
Yeah.
And so I would be like, I'm just going to come over here and just Photoshop a bunch of random shit together. So
yeah, I would just do stuff like that too. I would create like shitty movie posters and just like they would look so bad, and then I'd just steal like from the internet one of the, you know, like the bottoms that have all the text, like it says like all the producer names and stuff. I'll just put that on the bottom and I'll be like, yeah, it looks sick now, you know, like, that's a movie poster. And I'll put like the type is just say like it was like Predator or whatever, and I'll just try to like using like the really basic like Photoshop like layer styles, like the really ugly like Chrome like ones they built in, and you don't even, they just look like word art in a way, pretty much. But that's like, you got to be there. I was talking about this with the podcast I released today. This guy Sam Bergini, super cool artist. He draws for like all these cool like streetwear brands, Chinatown Market and stuff like that. He was telling me like when you're first starting out, like you start like, you know, using the programs, like you start like just putting stuff like masking something. He's like, you feel like you're the shit. And then you realize like it's that Dunning-Kruger effect thing. Like when you're ignorant, you think you're good. Then as you actually get good, it goes down and you feel like insecure, imposter. And then when you're really like actually like, I don't know, that whole like 10,000 hours thing, like when you're an actual like good at this 10 years in, let's say, you're still lower in your level of confidence than when you thought you were the shit when you're first starting out, because there's nothing to compare it to. You're just like, yo, no one can you do this, like I'm a legend, right? Just because you like, I don't know, you got like in Illustrator, you got like the shape tool, and then you just like cut little pieces out of it. You're like, this is a sick minimal logo or something, you know.
I just killed this.
I got like excited when I won a t-shirt contest. I was like, my design's gonna be on a t-shirt in high school. What up?
Yeah. That's dope. Yeah. I never like did that stuff because like I've talked to other people about this, and I realize it's not really like that much of a minority. But when I was first starting out, I was kind of insecure because I suck at drawing, right? So I never won no t-shirt contests or like art contests at school. And then like I wasn't like, people think I'm good at drawing now because I'm a designer, but I'm worse than most non-designers I know at like actually drawing like analog.
That's crazy. Like that you say that's nuts, because my graphic design teacher, I remember one of the first things she said to us when we sat down in front of our computers was, if you are an actual artist, if you love drawing, sketching, like painting, all of that, you're going to struggle in this class. And I was like, what? Right. Like you have like the design eye and everything, but you're so used to putting things on paper and then trying to put it into the computer. It's a whole other ball game, like trying to trace. And she's like, you guys are going to get frustrated.
Yeah. When you're good at drawing and you don't know how to use like the programs, you know what you want and you can't do it. I like sucked. So I was like, this is good enough. Right. Like my sketches always looked worse than the final versus the inverse. Right. Because those dudes that do like the crazy illustrations that you see on like a reel and they're like 70 hours. And I'm like, fuck, like that's so impressive. But it must have taken them so long to learn how to translate those classic illustration skills to like something as mathematical as like the pen tool, or just using like shapes, because it's so not organic to like drag a little, you know, basically you're just dragging around a little rubber band or whatever and like moving it around.
Hoping it does the thing.
It does the thing you want it to do.
It does the thing that you need it to do.
But yeah, it's crazy because I always say that like we think of, a lot of people when they think of art, they think of pencil, they think of paint, but using design programs I feel like it's another tool. It's another paintbrush. So yeah, it makes sense that people who can do this and can't do that, it makes complete sense to me. Like, so that's why I'm always like, use whatever, if you're a creative, use whatever design method works the best for you. Like sometimes have you ever heard of lino cut? It's kind of like a stamp making.
Oh, okay.
But I do that to like relax sometimes, and it's completely different from any other.
Is that with the limestone?
It's with like rubber, and you like
okay.
Use like this little metal thing and dig out the rubber, and then you paint on the black, and
then don't you roll it on and then
roll it.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that's what that was called.
Yeah. So that's like my
graphic
thing.
design from Mesopotamia or some shit. That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's cool though. It's hard. You have like a little, it's like a little scooper kind of.
It is like a scooper. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Cool.
Though. So
I have you learn how
ideas.
to do that at?
Huh?
Where'd you learn how to do that?
I was watching YouTube. I think YouTube. And I was like, this looks relaxing. So, because we were looking for like other mediums to kind of work in. And I don't see a lot of people do it. So it might be something that I kind of show a little bit more and kind of have some fun with. I've been trying to get into lettering a little bit more. So maybe transferring some lettering onto that and actually making stamps out of it, I think people would probably
Ooh,
Yeah,
love that.
because
that'd
if
be
you did
cool.
that and it's like more analog, and you press it into the ink and then you put that, like you just scan that in, it's gonna
People would
have
go
like
wild for
a
that.
really cool feel, you know. People
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
pay a lot. You could just literally probably trace like Helvetica and someone would be like, that's crazy, you know, because it would
That's my
have
new
like that
thing.
roughness, you know.
Jesse just gave me my new thing. That's gonna be. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
known for that. I'm gonna be like, Jesse
Honestly,
gave me this.
you should do that. You should not that, but you should do that as um like a time lapse or a
Yeah,
reel, because
Yeah.
I
that's
think
like,
that.
oh, my camera died.
Oh
I have another battery. One sec.
no.
Okay.
Okay. Popped up. Whoop.
Shout out Hunter.
I saw you liked anime. Saw that in your bio.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what I was saying. Oh, you should do that. People eat that shit up, like
Yeah,
real,
it's
like
a
crafts,
it's a great idea.
like real
I've thought about
non-computer
it,
shit.
but I was like, well, I'll just wait. So I think it's something I'll try out.
Wait
with
for
this.
what?
I don't
Right.
know. I don't know,
I think
Jesse. I don't know.
did that cam.
I'm struggling in this world of algorithms. Like,
Yeah.
but the way you put it today really kind of was like eye opening. And it's like work with what that system is asking for or wanting. So
The problem with the social media stuff is the way you have to do it is inherently wrong compared to like being a designer, right? As a
Yeah.
designer, you're in there like pixel by pixel, like manipulating stuff, like you're messing with color for like hours, you know, textures, all this stuff, and like it's very granular and you get very into it. But with Instagram, it's like I've tried to adopt the thinking of it's better to have something there than nothing at all, right?
Mhm.
And you're never gonna finish. Nothing's gonna. You're always gonna feel like, oh, I could have changed something better. So I
Yeah.
just been start. Half the time I just put out like the first draft of something, and that does better than the shit I tinkered in the hue and saturation slider for like 30 minutes. You know?
You
Yeah.
have like a really really cool style. Do you,
I love it.
What influences that? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I don't really feel like I have that defined quite yet. I get influence from a lot of places, like, and I'm very like ADD in the way of, or ADHD in the way of like, it's hard for me to focus in and be like, you look at, you know, you look at those some pages, it's like they use only one color or one
Right.
font, or
Mhm.
everything looks so nice, but
Yeah.
it's like I feel like claustrophobic that way. So I try to
Yeah.
do like a lot of different things because yeah, that works on Instagram. You're known for that and that's your style and everyone will come to you for that. But I try to keep it a little bit more like versatile and like try whatever I want, because that way when I'm working with a client, they don't expect like one specific thing. They
Yeah.
can be
That's
I try
interesting.
to like, but I do want to get, I'm trying to narrow it a little bit, but I guess inspiration wise, like I take a lot of inspiration from kind of two sides of the spectrum. Like I really like the far end, like what's his name? I was just about to look into his master class. I can't remember.
Is it
The
recent?
guy
People
that
have been
made
talking
the
about
guy
it
that made
recently.
the Ray Gun magazine. Do you know
Uh,
that? He's damn, how come I can't think of it? Okay, basically though, he's like postmodernism, like designer guy that he came onto the scene when everything was like Swiss design and stuff, and he was doing crazy shit. Like he printed an article all in wingdings, and like he made a font called Fedoni, and it was half Futura, half Bodoni, just split in half. And all the like Massimo Vignelli type people were like, "This is not like a grid or whatever." And he even says on his little like masterclass like intro, he says, "If everyone likes it, then you're doing something wrong." You know, like
is that the guy who's a surfer?
yeah.
Yes, I did see that going around. Yeah,
I just can't remember his. He's like a legend. I don't know
it's
why I
like
can't.
David something. I feel like
David Carson.
Are
There
you
we
Yeah,
go.
telling me
there
that
we
I
go.
There we go.
literally got rid of my masterclass subscription and this is on there?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first one I've ever seen where I
I'm
was like,
so mad.
I might be down. So
Yeah.
there's that, but then I like those same people that were talking shit about that guy, right? I really like the Bauhaus international type style, like Swiss design, you know, everything's current to the finest degree. Everything's, grotesque fonts and just very type heavy. And then I think I'm like that, I like the analog kind of collage stuff. And then I like the Swiss design, and I try to use both of that and mess with it and see.
That's
And
dope.
I want to bring like good type to like more chaotic environments rather than
I
it just
love it.
be super basic. Like one of my biggest inspirations, I would say, at least for layout, is Roy Cranston on Instagram.
I
Have
feel
you
like
heard
the
of him?
name sounds familiar.
I'm gonna have him on my podcast in like a few weeks.
Okay.
Cool.
He's so dope. Everyone's like copied his style. Like his layouts for posters are insane. And he got interviewed by Chris Do like last year, and that got him like some clout and stuff. And like he's really cool. There's this guy for my collage stuff. I get a lot of inspiration from the guy Dewey Saunders, really talented collage artist here in LA.
Mhm.
And then I just get a lot of inspiration from old, like I took the kind of like the Aaron Draplin like junking thing. Like I'm really into that too, like
That's so dope.
saving
Like,
old shit and looking at
yeah.
it.
I
Yeah,
saw
you
you
go
use
to
like a
flea
Playboy the
markets.
other day,
Yeah,
and
I
like you
like
pulled
that one.
you pulled
Yeah.
an ad out of it. I thought that was so cool.
Someone commented like, that's pretty gross buying a used Playboy. And I was like, fuck, you're right.
Oh no.
That is gross. We went to a flea market, and me and my girlfriend and this guy had like all these stacks of them, and he was like, but they were like brand new. He was like, yeah, these are like mint condition and all this. He was like proud of them, and I just bought one for like $5. It was like from the 70s. And yeah, like those ads for like the cigarettes and stuff, and like the Seagrams and
Yeah.
Bacardi and like all the old boot brands and like all this weird like manly shit that they would put in the Playboys. They were so cool. Like that, it'd just be a guy like on a like snowboarding down a mountain, like smoking a cigar, and like it just says like, if you ain't living, like you ain't a man, or some bullshit like that, right? And like they were just so like they didn't give a fuck back then. Like they promoted they would write things like, now with less tar. It's just like, all right, man. Like they that's why they banned like cigarette ads or whatever. But it's just funny that that was all of them. Every ad was like
advertising.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nuts.
But this has been great. Like, yeah, I feel like you dropped some gems. Like, I was like, ooh.
Thank you.
Oh, that was dope.
Wait. I have one last question.
Do it.
Well, first of all, is there anything that you want to talk about, like that we
Yes.
have not covered? We have not asked. What? Because I just have one question, and it's very important.
It's very important.
I don't know. When's this coming out at, you think?
I think it's
In
the
a
end of
while?
May.
End of May.
I think it's the end of May.
Like a month.
Last week in May.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I don't know. Who knows what I'll be doing by then, honestly. But you can check out my YouTube at Jesse Nyberg, and then my Instagram is Permanent Glue. That's pretty much everywhere else. It's that, and I try to keep it consistent. But for the YouTube, I did my name because I couldn't stomach myself to introduce myself as that every time I made a video. So I just changed it up. But yeah, you can check that stuff out, and also. What else did I want to talk about? That's it, I guess. I also wanted to just say, like, I want you guys to keep doing this. Like, that shit's cool. I want
for sure.
I just started, and I feel like I noticed there's a lot of gaps like in this niche of content that is people talking about this stuff that aren't, like creative director, CEO people, that feels very like sponsored by Adobe talks, like I want something that's why I started the podcast. So if you're into that, and if you're into this podcast, I think you'd like the one I'm doing as well.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. And you're interviewing, like you said, young people and people who are up and comers and doing dope stuff. Like everybody has access to this nowadays. And it's just, it's great that you're taking the time to put other people on instead of you're doing big names, but also putting on the people who might not have as much.
Yeah, I'm hoping as I get bigger, it becomes more symbiotic. Like not only am I getting their name, but they're getting stuff out of being on this platform and able to promote their work and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead with whatever what you had.
Question.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. We definitely want you to plug your stuff because we want everybody to get more of this. I have a question and then a request.
Okay.
My question is, please tell us about your mustache.
Like, what do I say about it?
So it's my buddy. What do I say about it?
Yeah.
Please tell us about your glorious, glorious mustache.
I don't even think it is. Like, there's no, it doesn't even grow in the middle.
Oh, I thought you did that on purpose.
Nah, yeah, exactly. So, nothing to it. I kind of stopped shaving stopped shaving when COVID hit. And then I just kept the mustache, and I usually shave my chin, and I have my girlfriend just go in and like cut the bottom part or whatever.
That's awesome.
And honestly, like, objectively speaking, I don't even necessarily think I look better with it. However, it feels weird to take it off now, so I just leave it.
I think it works.
Look, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so now my request is, if you have not already, if you have, awesome. If you have not, I need you to create a design around your mustache. That's it. That's all I got.
Maybe. I get
have a space
it feels
on
pretty
my
vain.
wall right here.
Maybe. I'll say I'll at the very least think about doing that for you.
Okay, cool. That's good. That's good. I appreciate it.
I forgot we do have one question that we ask every guest we have on.
Yeah.
If you could give, I know you've given a lot of advice, but if you can give one piece of advice for the newer designers or creatives out there just struggling and trying to figure it all out, what would that be?
Yeah. Go check out my channel. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, I do a lot of that stuff on there, but try to give advice. But I'm still learning. So what I would say is, don't ever stop learning. Like, always stay curious, and don't ever feel content with what you're doing, because that only makes you slow down. Also, don't feel like embarrassed by what you're doing, because you're always going to get better, and you're always going to look back and think what you did sucked back then. So just post what you have, or post your stuff online. Like, apply to jobs that you don't think you can get, and all that. And thirdly, if this is more of like what you shouldn't do, stop giving people criticism when they don't ask for it. Stop commenting on people's work, like, with feedback around the design when it's not solicited. If someone asks you for feedback, good, but I don't like that trend. And it's like a lot of older people do that, and I think it's like toxic. So don't do that.
Drop bars. That was great. That was some great advice.
That was something that I noticed in the older photography community, was like all these people would just be hopping onto your pictures, telling you all the shit you did wrong with them. And it's like, I just started, like,
right.
Holy cow. Wow. That's great.
That was great.
Sweet. Cool.
Well, we stopped, right? Are we good?
Yeah.
She's about to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up.
My bad. I thought you already stopped.
You want to take it away, Jesse? Go ahead. No.
Nah, I don't know the script.
Jesse with the outro.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Wisdom by Design. We were very, very excited to have Jesse Nyberg on here with us. Thank you for giving us your time. We know it's very precious. So if you guys want to see more, hear more, we want to hear from you. Please follow us on Instagram at Wisdom by Design Podcast. We are also on YouTube at Wisdom by Design Podcast. And of course, we are in the earphones, the ear
audio,
the audio. We're all over the platforms. But if you want to reach out, we would love to hear from you. We're working on building a community for creatives, for designers, freelancers. And we want you to know that you're not alone in this. So reach out to us if you ever want to talk. We are at wisdombydesignpodcast.com. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. My name is Jessa.
And I am Kameron. And you can also find us on Patreon at Wisdom by Design Podcast.
Yeah, go do that.
We got to add that in there. We got to update the script. I'm sorry that I look like I am podcasting by candlelight. I need to probably
I just looked at your screen and I was like, why is it so dark?
It got dark outside, and I was using outside as like my other light, and I didn't set anything else up. But I look like I'm podcasting by candlelight in the 1600s. Like,
yeah.